Okay, folks, we're back. Now we're going to do some super member questions. So for this, I guess I can go full screen, and we'll do some super member question Q&A for episode 90 of DSP versus the internet. And then we're going to get back to that randomized playlist. Well, we're going to start the randomized playlist, I should say, of of clips from the submissions to your members. All right, so first question of the week. Have I had or would I ever get a tarot card reading? I mean, I'm not against it. At the same time, I don't think I would believe in it, but maybe just for fun. Have you ever played with a Ouija board? No, I have not. When I was a kid, I didn't even know what a Ouija board was. I didn't even hear of a Ouija board until I was like an adult. And likely it's because I grew up Roman Catholic, so my parents probably kept me away from that kind of stuff, the occult and stuff. If not, have you ever had a paranormal experience? I have not. I've not at all. And the thing is, I'm open-minded, and I'm not one of those people that's like stubborn and will be like, oh, well, because I've never had an experience, it obviously means that the paranormal or things ghosts don't exist. I'm not like that. However, I will say that evidence or a personal experience obviously would push me more towards believing. Right now, I've never had an experience, so I don't believe it's real, but at the same time, I'm not closed-minded to it. The only weird experience I ever had is when I was a kid. One morning, I was very young, and I woke up, not one morning, it was one night, like middle of the night, and my parents were asleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I swear I saw a shadow of a person walking through the hallway, okay, I was upstairs, my bedroom was upstairs, my parents' bedroom was downstairs, and so I see the shadow walking across the hallway, so of course it scares me, it makes me think that maybe there's someone in the house or something, and it looked oddly like my uncle. Like it made me look like the body of my uncle, like his body type glasses and stuff. And I was like, this is weird. So I started freaking out and I called my parents. They came running upstairs looking. They checked every room, checked everything. I was like, no, there's nothing here. You must have just had like one of those lucid dream nightmares, right? So that was it. It's the only thing I can even think of, okay? Now, have I ever met anyone who practices witchcraft? No, I've never met anyone who has, at least admittedly practiced witchcraft to my knowledge. Okay, moving on. You wake up one day, you're an omnipotent being, and you can fly, time travel, exhibit super speed and super strength. You can do whatever comes to mind. Let's say you decide to fly to the moon. How'd you make this decision? Was it for reasons? That would mean it was determined. Your reason to fly to the moon was set already. Did you randomly decide to fly to the moon? And that decision was random, and random is not free. Making decisions on a coin toss is not free. How can you get out of the dichotomy of making a decision that is either determined or random? Seems free will is impossible to conceptualize even if you're omnipotent. You would never be able to answer the question because you're not omnipotent. If you're omnipotent, maybe things just happen because they happen. They don't have to happen. Like us as finite beings, things happen because we need them to happen. For example, I breathe because I need to breathe to live. I eat because I get hungry. If I don't, I die, right? I work. Why do I work? Because I need to raise money. Why do I need to raise money? To pay for things to stay alive and support my family. These are all necessities to survival as a human. But if you were omnipotent, nothing could hurt you. Nothing could kill you. You had all these powers. Then you could basically do whatever you wanted. But then would you do anything? If you don't need to do anything, would you even do anything? Who knows? Maybe you just want to do nothing because that's relaxation, right? I don't know. But you can't answer the question unless you're put into the situation, right? It's funny because people would always say stuff like, oh, so if you were walking, here's another hypothetical, okay? So you're walking down the street, and you turn and you see a crosswalk. And in the middle of the crosswalk, there's an old woman walking, and there's a mother pushing a carriage with a baby in it. And then all of a sudden, a truck is coming down the street uncontrollable. Would you jump into the street? Would you save the old woman? Would you save the mother? Would you save the baby? Would you attempt to save all of them? Or would you just stand by and yell, hey, get out of the way, because you don't want to risk yourself? What would you do? Right? You can hypothetically say, but it doesn't matter because in the moment, you don't know how you're going to behave. In the moment, it's different than just considering it as a hypothetical in your head. I'm sure there's people who've trained for years and years and years and years for situations, and then they acted differently than how they trained for. So it's a moot question. It doesn't really matter. And then we've got Andre the DJ with the final question ever for DSP versus the internet. Andre the DJ has the honor of having the final question I will ever answer on this show. You ready? When you were looking at moving, did you consider New Hampshire? Interestingly, the state didn't and still doesn't have a state sales tax nor a personal income tax. The exception being a flat individual rate on dividends and interest. Disclosure with this info coming from Wikipedia, mileage and accuracy may vary. No, I did not consider New Hampshire for the core reason that when I was looking to move from Connecticut, where I've lived in Connecticut since I was born, all the way to the age of like, what was it, 10 years? I was like 32, something like that, roughly 31, 32. I wanted to get out of the East Coast or northeast of the United States because of the weather. The Northeast United States suffers very hot, humid summers, like Florida-like temperatures. Then it also gets very cold, snow, ice-filled winters. It's literally the extremes of bad weather all in one focused place. So I knew that if I was going to move out of the state, I wanted to go somewhere where I was not going to have to face these extremes. I wanted to go somewhere with a more moderate climate, especially considering I can do my work anywhere, right? I could literally be sitting in an office anywhere on the planet, broadcasting to you live. I don't have to worry about being in a certain geolocation. And so when it came to moderate climates, Washington State had one of the most moderate climates. Sadly, in the last 10 years, that's changed a bit. We actually have extreme summers. We don't have extreme winters. So we don't get the cold, the snow. We barely get anything like that. But we get pretty hot summers now. So at least now, if I'm going to get an extreme, I only get an extreme one time of the year. I only get it for a few months of the year. And it's not Florida-like. Like, we don't get the humidity of a lot of places, you see? But that's really was the focus. Of course, yes, I wanted to go somewhere without a state income tax and stuff like that, and I did. There's no state income tax here. But it was really the weather was the factor. And another great thing that I can at least say about living in Washington State, there's a lot of negatives, I'm not going to lie. But one of the big positives about living in Washington State is that, oh, my nose itches, is that everything that I need to travel to or do is within a very simple radius of distance. I literally have never had to intentionally get on the highway since I've lived in Washington State. I can go to Seattle right now and get there in 45 minutes driving on a normal road. I can get anywhere I need, any kind of product I need, anywhere I want to go for food, for education, for, business reasons, doctors, shopping, anything that I need to do is all within a very simple driving radius of about 30 to 45 minutes. I think the longest I've ever had to drive was about an hour, and everything is there. Now, I'm not saying that eventually I wouldn't want to go outside of that radius. For maybe go on a little vacation with my wife and drive out to the mountains and stay in a cabin for a week or something like that, right? But everything is so close, I don't have to do that kind of travel. When I lived in Connecticut, I had to travel for everything. And it was annoying because in Connecticut, there were so many people in the state that it was hard to drive. It was like traffic everywhere. I know that the Northeast U.S. is a very dense population. Now, I didn't research New Hampshire for that, but I guarantee you that the amount of people out here where I live versus that East Coast mentality, Northeast, there's more people out there. So I feel like I made the right decision for weather, and I made the right decision for, population density. Cheers to you, Andre the DJ, who's been a supporter pretty much since day one on the channel. I appreciate that. All right, folks, it is time to get to the randomized playlist. This is the playlist of submissions tier members have submitted their videos. Let's see what people had in store for us. Ready? Here we go.
So it took you 100 full years, but now you're saying maybe the captain of Titanic isn't to blame?
The world, according to John.
Oh, this again. We saw this guy's videos, did we not? So I don't know if these are true or not, or if this guy's just up his own ass, making shit up. But let's see what he has to say about this.
Hello and welcome to The World According to John. My name is, as you know, Jonathan Paula, and on today's video I'd like to bring you a story from 100 years ago. Hard to believe, actually, because I first started learning about the Titanic when I was in 3rd grade. It was something very interesting and romantic about the big giant ocean liner that hit the small iceberg, killing thousands of people in the Atlantic Ocean way back on April 15th, 1912.
Romantic? He said there was something romantic about that. There was something romantic about that? It's a tragedy. It's like one of the horror stories of modern man. That man thought he had conquered technology and made something new that was going to be unsinkable, and immediately it sank and killed all these people. How is that romantic exactly? I guess maybe if you saw the movie, there was some romance in it, but that's all I can think of.
It is a timeless story, of course made even more public and more awesome by the James Cameron movie in 1997. We've all heard about the Titanic, the most famous ocean liner and maritime disaster ever. Which is why it's surprising that a full century after that first terrible accident happened, we're learning new information about what possibly sank that ship. A lot of people, rightly, until now, blamed the Captain Edward Smith for ignoring all of the warnings about icebergs in the shipping lanes. Now, they were sailing south of Newfoundland, where icebergs rarely show up, and when they do, they're certainly not big enough to take out an unsinkable ship of the Titanic's size. Unfortunately, what Captain Edward Smith and everyone else of that century didn't know is that there were a confluence of astronomical events set into motion months prior that doomed the Titanic before he ever set on that ship. Now, Captain Edward Smith was the best at White Star Line. He was one of the best captains they had. He knew the Atlantic very well. So from his point of view, he heard some iceberg warnings and he ignored them because he thought, we're too far south. Anything that shows up here is going to be like an ice cube. We'll just roll right over it. We have a big ship. I don't need to worry about it. But what he didn't know is that earlier that year, the sun and the Earth's gravitational alignment was in a once in a 1,400-year position that caused for...
Oh, by the way, my fault. Bloomkey had done a $2 super chat and says, summon Satan for Halloween next year. What? Oh, is it the Q&A question about witchcraft? I don't think I'll be summoning Satan anytime soon. I'm pretty sure I'm good with the, you know, the people and the creatures in my home. I don't need to be summoning demons. But thanks for the suggestion and thanks for the super chat.
Extremely intense gravity and tidal shifts. And the moon had a very strong full moon and was the closest to Earth in over a year, way back in January of 1912. All of these astronomical events happen once a millennium almost, and they happened that January. Why is that important? Well, all of the gravity and all of the tide broke those icebergs loose from Greenland. They started floating south, and 4 months later, the Titanic slammed into one of them. And if it wasn't for all of these astronomical coincidences and massive tidal shifts and full moons, Titanic might have went right through it like it was crushed ice coming out of your fridge. Unfortunately, we know how things turned out. And now, 100 years later, we're still talking about it. But that's going to do it for this video. Please let me know what you think about this story in the comments.
I mean, so what he's saying is it wasn't the captain's fault. That there really should never have ever been that level of iceberg warning or danger in that area. And I kind of get that. But at the very same time, if you're the captain, shouldn't you be aware of, like, why would you not even be on call or be looking for anything? Like, you have 1,500 people or however many it was on that ship. You should still have people on the lookout for stuff at all times. Should you not? Right? I mean, I'm just trying to be honest here. I feel like you still have to take some personal responsibility. That ship was under your watch. So if it's under your watch, you are responsible for everything that can happen. You know what I mean? Even if it's like unlikely. Like, let's say, for example, okay, you're on a ship, okay? And no shit. Let's say this actually happened. Fucking Godzilla comes out of the water off the starboard bow, way out there, okay? Now, obviously, you had no fucking idea Godzilla was real, right? But it just came out of the water. Do you see it? Should someone maybe be looking for something so that if Godzilla really is real, he's popping out of the water, you say, okay, let's turn around, right? We're far enough away. He ain't going to catch us. Let's turn the fuck around and get out of here, right? It's like, no, because we don't think there's any risk in this area. No one looks for anything. Just go pretend like you saw. They went right into the fucking iceberg. What the fuck? You couldn't see it? Of course you could, but no one was obviously looking, right? No one was looking for an iceberg because they just thought there was none, right? I'm being told they did have people looking. Icebergs are hard to see at night. I don't know. It's just crazy to me that they couldn't stop from colliding with a crazy iceberg, right? You understand what I'm saying? Like, even if the circumstance has never happened before and you're not even expecting it, you should have people looking out for this shit and be able to have some kind of a emergency thing to stop it from happening. And I guess the truth is we will just never actually know what happened, right? Like there isn't 100% documentation of what actually transpired, like minute by minute, hour by hour. But that's just crazy to me because he's like, oh, it's not the captain's fault. I don't know if I believe that. I still think that there's a level of responsibility, right? Like there should have been stuff in place. So, I mean, well, so you're saying if there was ever an iceberg, there was just no way to stop it ever, to stop colliding with it? I mean, then why are you sailing the ship, right? If that's the case, then just don't sail the ship. If there's no way to ever stop it because it's so big, you can't stop it from hitting an iceberg, then just fucking don't sail the ship anywhere. Forget it. It's too big. You need to have a ship that's of a scale that can stop and not hit an iceberg, right? That's like saying, well, we can make a blimp, a helium blimp, right? And it's the hugest one ever, right? And it can carry the most people, and it's a world-traversing thing, but because it's so big, there's a really increased chance that it could just light on fire. Oh, wait, was that what happened with the Hindenburg? All right, anyway. All right, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Dark Side Pimp, over on Kick, just gifted 20 subs. 20 subs. It wasn't helium, I know. What was it? What was the Hindenburg? I forget what gas was in the Hindenburg. It wasn't helium. It was the actual gas they used to float shit. So not helium, right? Or was it helium? I don't think it was helium. Anyone know what gas was in the Hindenburg? I don't know. I don't think it was helium, though. Anyway, Dark Side Pimp. With an insane 20 sub gift over on Kick. That means that's $100 of support. And ladies and gentlemen, what that means, I think you can guess. Can you guess what that means? Allow me to explain, to elaborate for those of you who are perhaps laymen and laywomen to the situation. That means that once again, for the 60th straight stream, no matter where I'm streaming or what I'm doing, we have hit the goals. The coffers are filled. The taxes have been paid. Ladies and gentlemen, the animation's delayed, but we have done it. We have hit 60 straight streams of crushing the goals and stomping my goddamn trolls. Stomp damn trolls right in the nards. Yes, thank you so much. I don't know why I just spoke like that. I'm just excited for the levels of support that I've been receiving. The crazy streak continues. Thank you so much. It was hydrogen, I'm being told, by the way. It was hydrogen, and the skin turned it into thermite gas. Wow. All right. So thank you so very much. Dark Side Pimp, 20 gifted subs today. Allows us to hit our goal and continue our streak. The madness continues, right? And the truth is, listen, I know that the amount of attendance, engagement, and support for this show has dwindled dramatically. I've really enjoyed doing this show with all of you for the 2 years we've done it. I'm looking forward to the future, me covering some politics, me doing some long-form reacting. I feel like those projects are going to get people more interested. But for those who've liked this show for 2 years, thank you so much. On to bigger and better stuff, right? Okay, and thank you, Dark Side Pimp. Insanely generous contribution to get us hitting our goals today. Let's continue. What's next on the agenda here? Let's find out.
You know something?
Does anyone know what we're about to hear? I remember when this happened. I mean, it's funny now. We just had our presidential election, and Donald Trump is now going to be, he's the president-elect. He'll be the next president. During this election cycle, okay, and this was George W. Bush against Howard Dean. Howard Dean was trying to become the Democratic candidate to run against George W. Bush at the time for the president. And actually, people really liked Howard Dean. They liked his ideas. They liked his campaign, his philosophy. And then literally this happened, and this was replayed so much on every form of media. It was on comedy shows, late night shows, actual news. It was on the internet. It was everywhere. They turned the guy into a meme before people knew what memes were. And this actually ruined him. Are you ready? Here it comes. Here it is. If you've never heard this, you're about to witness history.
You know something? If you had told us 1 year ago that we were going to come in third in Iowa, we would have given anything for that. And you know something? You know something? Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Yeah!
So that's it. So basically what happened was everyone made a meme out of him going, "Wah!" I don't know if you can hear it because I have my mic filter on. Can you hear that? Wah! You can kind of hear it, right? So they took that clip and completely turned this guy into a clown. And the funny part was he wasn't really a clown. Like, he had some solid ideas and people liked him. And then completely got destroyed. No lie. After this, he became a meme, a joke. Everyone made fun of him so much, he lost all traction. And basically, John Kerry won the nomination for the Democratic Party, and he lost miserably to George W. Bush. This guy might have had a chance with George W. Bush. I don't know. But it's pretty crazy how one little moment, you know, when something went viral before it was called going viral, how it crushed this man and his whole career, honestly. Because after this, can you even mention Howard Dean again? Anything he's ever done? No.
We will not give up. We will not give up in New Hampshire. We will not give up in South Carolina. We will not give up in Arizona or New Mexico, Oklahoma, North Dakota, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan. We will not quit now or ever. We want our country back for ordinary Americans.
I just think that's crazy. Like, his whole campaign crushed right there. And it sucks because you could tell in the moment, the crowd was into it. Like, the crowd he was with liked it. They liked his passion and his energy and his momentum. And then that was it. He became the joke. All right, what is this? Game time?
Jonathan Paula presents Game Time.
Hello and welcome to a special and totally ridiculous episode of Game Time, Hotshot.
The audio is terrible on this one, right? It is really bad.
My name is, as you know, Jonathan Paula, and today we are playing PETA Presents Super Tanuki Skin 2D! Created by This Is Pop. Click to play, and click to play we shall. Oh, I have to click, not hit space. Alright, so here we go.
It's a terrible Flash game at an awful resolution, awful quality, and awful audio. Great, I can't wait for this one.
This is on the PETA website. You can play this. Of course, this video game and this episode of Game Time is a special episode that accompanies the latest episode of The World According to John, where I voice my very passionate opinions about why this entire PETA campaign of theirs is a stupid idea. So if you'd like to watch the backstory and, like, what is this game I'm playing, what is the significance, why is Super Mario Land drenched with the blood of all of its dead enemies, well, click the link on screen or in the description at any time to be clued in, because I just did an episode of The World According to John and explained this whole thing about why PETA is protesting Mario's wearing fur in the new 3DS game by creating this fake game where a skinned raccoon, the guy I'm playing as in the bottom corner there, is chasing after Mario trying to get his Tanuki suit back. So I'm using the space bar. It's an analog process, so the harder you press it, the faster you jump and higher you jump. And I'm trying to get Mario to get me, I'm trying to get my suit back from Mario because I just died. I was doing good too. So I'm trying to chase Mario down, who's flying in the Tanuki suit. He's bleeding too, it seems. Like the blood is just dripping off of him. And if I can get my suit back, well then, I guess we win, and then PETA goes home happy, I suppose. I don't know. It's a...
So, for those who don't know, PETA, what does it stand for? Something treatment of animals. It's supposed to... It's an organization that basically says animals are mistreated and humans should be better to animals, okay? And I get that notion. I totally do. Like, I do believe that humans are very bad to animals in a lot of different ways. Now, I also believe that humans have to do things with animals. We have to eat them to survive. We have to keep their populations in check. So it's all about moderation, correct? But PETA, to them, it's like any time that you fuck with animals, it's wrong, okay? Even if it's not real, okay? So we're not even talking about hunting or mistreatment of real animals. They're actually talking about Super Mario Brothers. And I remember when this happened. This was around, what was it, the early days of the DS or the 3DS? I can't remember the date. 12 years ago. Here you go. So this was, holy crap, 13 years ago. So this would have been 2011. So there was a 3DS version of a Mario game coming out, and Mario was going to have the Tanuki suit again. Now, he hadn't had the Tanuki suit since, what was it, Mario 3 or something like that? If you don't know, the Tanuki suit, it looks like almost like a raccoon. And when you put it on, he would transform into like a hybrid raccoon human, and he could fly. I think also with the Tanuki suit, you could turn into like a statue, okay? So for the record, it's not a real raccoon. It's a mythical creature, correct? It's supposed to be like Japanese lore. It's a mythical creature. But PETA, however you pronounce it, I think it's PETA, they took it to such an extreme. They're like, oh no, this is you're skinning an animal and wearing its skin. And this obviously is promoting the bad treatment of animals, so we must protest it. It's like, they actually get so upset about stuff, they don't even do the research to find out if what they're protesting is real. Like, no. In a Mario game, Mario doesn't go out and butcher a raccoon, rip its skin off, and put it on him. This is not promoting, hey, let's wear fur. Like, that's actually not what this is. It's a mythical creature suit that transforms you into, like, have superpowers. What are they complaining about? And so if you think that that's ridiculous, what you're seeing, I believe this is real. They paid money to make a Flash game. And this was the Flash game that they had. That it was Mario floating in a like a raccoon skin, and it's bleeding. And the poor raccoon that was skinned is still alive, chasing Mario, trying to get its skin back. And this is Mario Land is covered in blood. And obviously what they're saying is this is all awful. Treatment of animals, it's terrible. You know, it's a video game. It's a cartoon. Okay? This is not, you know, what they should be complaining about are games like the Cabela's hunting and shit, where you go into the woods and without any rhyme or reason, you're just blowing away 500 freaking animals, you know, and it goes extreme long shot and shit like that, right? I could see them complaining about those games because it's kind of glorifying hunting to the extreme where there's like not even a check or a balance. You're hunting for over the top, no reason, right? In this case, it's a mythical kids game. No one is believing that Mario is actually ripping a skin off of a Tanuki creature and transforming into, like, you know, a mythical superpowered guy, and he's wearing animal skin. No one believes that, and it's not even part of the game. What they're complaining about makes no sense. But that's how they are. Unreal. Whoa, I received a generous $20 tip. Bill, I really enjoyed the last React show. Looking forward to DS Politics. Which topics are you thinking about covering first? Best of luck. We've already talked about it. My first politics show is this Thursday, exclusively being streamed on Kick, not on YouTube. It'll be exclusively on my Kick channel, which is DSP Gaming Real over on Kick. That's it, DSP Gaming Real, okay? And it's going to cover a few topics, including a mean text message that has been being sent to people in my area and further out that is actually supposedly supposed to be related to the results of the election that just happened, the presidential election. We're also going to be covering why the Democrats lost this presidential election. We're going to cover the reasons of that and talk about them. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how there has been on local TV, at least here where I live, actual efforts and criticism of people who donate food around this time of year, stating that if you're going to donate food for a food drive, you need to make sure that the food you donate is healthy and that it is culturally diverse. So we're going to talk about those specific 3 topics on my politics show this week. Okay? I think it's going to be a good one. I think you guys are going to enjoy the first show. And there's going to be discussion. It's not just going to be me blabbing. There's going to be discussion and feedback and all kinds of stuff on said show. So I hope if you guys are interested in any of those topics, that you will actually, you know, come and watch the show live. And also, there will be highlights of that show uploaded to this channel, DSP Reacts. So if you're interested in the show, but you can't be there live or you don't like using Kick, stay on this channel. Stay subbed, stay watching it. And you're going to find highlights of that show later on this week. Okay? Cool. All right. I think this is a good place to split the part. Thank you guys for watching DSP versus the Internet. And I'll be back with another hour and more clips in just a moment.